everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kathy. If you are new here, thanks so much for stopping by. If we've painted together before, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Today's video is on how to paint a fall daisy. So let's take a look at the supplies that we'll be using and we will jump right in. So we have two colors we're painting with today. We have Pueblo and Daffodil Yellow. These are FolkArt Multi Surface Paints. Now, this is not an endorsed or sponsored video. I just believe in sharing with you guys the paints that I use every day and that I've used for years. So I know they work well with this method of painting. The nice thing about multi-surface paint is that it works well no matter what surface you are painting on. So if you are painting a canvas or a clay pot or a wine glass, multi-surface will work for any type of surface. It'll be great for those. The nice thing is it's a little bit thicker paint and it has a sealer in it. So it just really makes a nice thick paint to paint any surface with. We also have one paintbrush that we're using today. We are using a number 12 flat brush. And truly, you guys, whatever size flat brush you have at home will work just fine. So don't worry about having this specific size. It's okay. All of the supplies that we're using today will be listed in the description of the video. So if you ever need to refer back and go, what color did we use for that daisy? Or what size brush was that? It'll all be listed there for you. All right, let me scooch these out of the way. So other supplies that we'll be using today, we have Styrofoam plate. This is our very fancy paint palette. I have my two colors on here. We'll talk about putting those on your plate here in just a moment, and as far as spacing and how I want you to set that up. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But again, just a Styrofoam plate, nothing fancy here. We also have off in the distance here a brush basin that just has water to rinse the brushes. For these daisies, we don't really use water to paint with. In some techniques that you'll see us do, that we will pick up some water here and there, but for the most part, we don't use water while we're painting with one stroke. So that's just there for cleaning our brushes. Let's see what else. We have our wax paper here on our table. This is just a great practice surface. So whether you're painting with me at a live in-person event or whether you're painting with me here on YouTube, we will always have wax paper. It's a nice smooth surface to practice your strokes. It's very economical. You can buy a roll of wax paper for, just a couple dollars, and that would give you hours of practice time. So highly recommend the wax paper. And then off here, I've just got some paper towels, so those are close by. But that's about it. That's all you need to get started. So let's grab our paint and our brush and we will jump in. Okay, so let's go back to our Styrofoam plate here. So if you guys want to go ahead and get your blobs of paint on, I have the Pueblo here, which is just my favorite fall color. Love this color. It's like a burnt orange. So I have the two colors here, the yellows here, and the puddles, you can do about the size of a quarter. You can always add more later if you need it. But the most important thing is leaving space in between these two puddles. Okay, we're going to do something called double loading here in just a moment, which basically means we're putting two colors of paint on one brush. And so this is going to be an area where we blend, but I'll show you that here in a sec. So go ahead and get your blobs of paint, and we are going to grab our number 12 flat brush. Okay, and let's get some paint on there. So what we want to do is your brush is going to be straight up and down, okay? And we are going to dip one corner, one half in the burnt orange, and the other half, the other corner, if you will, in the yellow. And then with the burnt orange by the burnt orange and the yellow by the yellow, what you're going to do is you're going to touch your brush down, really squish those bristles down. Can you see they're all the way down to the plate? And you're going to pull towards you and push away, and towards you and push away. And what we are creating here is what we call a blending spot. So it's doing a couple things. It's working the paint up into the brush. It's giving us a blend of the two colors. The beauty of doing double loading is that it will give you color, highlight, shading all in one stroke. And you'll see when we start doing these flowers just how beautiful it is. Okay, we're going to do this, you guys, probably about 3 or 4 times. Okay, so you're going to dip, same thing, and each time you're going to come back to this blending spot. Now, one thing that I have noticed over the years when people are first learning this method is they will come and dip their corners, but then they're blending all over the plate. We don't want to do that. We want to stay right on this spot because our goal isn't to paint this plate. We have more fun things to paint. The goal is to keep working this paint up into the brush. So each time you pick up, come back here, pull towards you, push away, and just keep doing that about 3 or 4 times. You guys can see we want to have a lot of paint worked up into this brush. Okay. Now, as we start painting, you guys will feel when you start running out of paint on your brush. Your strokes won't flow quite as smooth. They don't look as good. That's when you know you need to reload. And that could be as soon as you do 1 or 2 petals and have to come back and pick up paint. Every time you do, you will come back to this plate, dip each corner, blend just like we did. Okay, and you guys will see once we start painting, my plate will be over here. I will grab it and reload multiple times. I like picking up fresh paint very frequently. So, all right, so you should have a lot of paint worked up into that brush. Okay, and let's go to our wax paper and we're going to start the stroke. So let me show you our inspiration for today. Here are just some daisies. This is just cardstock. And this is the fall colors that we're using, the Pueblo and the yellow. I just love this color. It's just so fall. It's just perfect. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to build this daisy and how to do the centers. We'll talk about how to make the strokes. So let's go to our wax paper and start practicing. When we're done too, I'll show you a couple other projects that have daisies on them in some different colors. So you can kind of get some ideas and some inspiration on some projects that you can do. Okay, so we have our brush and we're going to start. We're going to practice the stroke here and then we'll come down here a little bit and practice building the daisy itself. All right, so let's start with our brush straight up and down. I have the burnt orange on top and the yellow closest to me. You're going to touch to the surface, okay, just right on that edge. I'm going to lean it towards me, squish that brush down just a little bit because you'll see it'll kind of get a little bit wider. See how we squish? Squish it down, slide to you, and lift up. You guys, it's just a blob. That's all it is. Okay, let's do it again. I want you to get a feel for this shape. Okay. You're going to start straight up and down. Remember, orange on top, yellow's closest to your body. Pull it down towards you, squish a little bit, slide just a little bit as you're lifting up. You're going to slide towards you and lift up. Now, I hope this comes through on camera, and I'm going to lift it so you can see it. But here's the cool thing about double loading. Okay, you can see the burnt orange. You can see the yellow. You can kind of see a combination of the two. It's just so neat. Okay, let's do another petal, but this time we're going to push towards you, and this will all make sense as soon as we start building this, okay? Turn this just a little bit this way. Okay. All right, so now this time I flipped my brush, and again, this will all make sense. The yellow's on the top. This time the orange is closest to me, okay? What we're going to do now, same thing. We're going to touch to the surface. I'm going to push forward this time, squish down a little bit, slide as I'm lifting up. Okay, let's do it again here. We're right on the edge. You're going to push forward, squish down, slide just a little bit, and lift up. So we have some that we pulled towards us and some we pushed away. Okay, I'm going to come back over here, you guys, and do the same thing we did before. I'm just reloading. I could feel like my brush was dragging a little bit. So remember, each time you need to pick up more paint. You dip each corner, blend in that same blending spot. Okay, so why did I have you push 2 different directions here? Well, I'm going to show you. As we build the daisy, you can see it's basically a circular flower, okay, if you think about that. And when we're doing something like this, it's very easy for people when they start to start at the top and work their way around. Now, the trouble with that, very often, you'll start at the top, and by the time you get around here, you're not in a circle anymore. It gets kind of ovally or kind of square looking, like something happens in that rotation where it doesn't stay perfectly circular. So what I want to show you is a hint on how to start this. We're going to do a grid, almost like a skeleton of the flower, if you think of that, and with north, south, east, west. Okay, and it's all going to make sense. All right, let's go back to our wax paper. So remember the first petal we did, we're starting straight up and down, orange is on top. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to start here. We're going to touch, lean toward you, squish down, and lift up. Okay, this is going to be the top of our flower. Now remember the second petal we did. This time the orange was closest to your body and yellow was on top. We are going to start down below where you just did that top petal. We're going to start here. Remember this one, we pushed forward and slid and lift up. Okay, top of our petal, bottom of our petal, or top of our flower, bottom of the flower. All right, I'm coming up, grabbing just a little paint, swoosh back and forth. So what we want to get here is basically a grid, a skeleton, if you will, of how we're going to build the rest of the petals. This is our north. This is our south. Now we're going to need our west and our east. So think of kind of a compass, like a grid. Okay. Every petal that we're doing, and we started here, is the yellow is going to be coming into the center of the petal. So we want the darker color on the outside, yellow on the inside. So let's do our side petals. Okay, so this time the orange is on the outside. I'm going to touch, lean towards the middle of the flower, push down, slide, and lift up. And we're going to come to this outside. So now the orange is on the outside and the yellow is still on the inside. And we're going to do the same thing. You're going to touch, push towards the center of the flower, slide, and lift up. Okay, so we have our north, our south, our east, and our west. And here you guys can still see, can you see that yellow and orange kind of blending and then standing out in certain spots? Double loading is just kind of the coolest thing. Okay, so now that we have our skeleton, now that we have our grid, now we're going to fill in these petals. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just go right in the middle. And remember, each time that yellow is coming to the center of the flower. You start outside and work your way in. Now, don't worry at all about what the center of this flower is going to look like, because you know what we're going to do? We're going to come back and fill in our centers. So if it happens to start getting kind of goopy and smudgy in the center, don't worry about it. We're going to give a center and we're going to cover it up. Okay, let's come in between these two petals. All right, we're going to touch, lean towards the center of the flower, slide, lift up. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to split between those two flowers, okay, right in the middle. You're going to lean toward the center, slide, lift up. I'm going to come grab some more paint, and you guys, same thing, swish in that same spot each time. All right, we're going to split in the middle here. So we're going to touch, push down towards the center, slide, and lift up. And we'll come to this one, our final little quadrant, our little section there. Lean towards the center, slide, and lift up. Okay, now this is a decent flower. We've got 8 petals. It looks nice. Our colors look great. But I really like my daisies to be very full. You guys can see back on this sample again. I like the petals really full and close together. So what we're going to do is we're going to do another round of petals on this that we just did. Okay, so we're going to start in the middle of these two here. So you position right in between the two. Push down toward the center, slide, lift up. We're going to go in between these two. Push down, slide, lift up. Center of these two. Push down, slide, lift up. And you're just going to work your way around. And you guys notice each petal is going towards the center. Okay, you start from the outside each time. Push down, slide, and lift up towards the middle of the flower. Okay. All right, let's do another one here so we can practice a couple more together here so you're feeling comfortable. Okay, so remember we started with our north, south, east, and west. So we're going to start, this time my orange is on top because it's on the outside. I'm going to touch, lean toward me, squish down, pull, slide, lift up. I'm turning my brush so the orange is on the outside on the bottom. You're going to push down, slide, lift up. There's our north and our south. Coming back to my plate. Picking up more color. All right, we're going to start on the west. So you're going to touch, push down towards the center, slide, and lift up. You're going to do the east. So touch, push towards the center, slide, and lift up. I'm going to grab paint. Now, I will tell you guys, as you've been doing this double loading for a while, it will happen. You will dip in the wrong puddle. You'll come back over here to reload, and this yellow side will go in the orange, or the orange will go in the yellow. It happens. Not a big deal. If it does, just wipe off your paper towel on your paper towel and just reload it. So it will happen no matter how long you've been doing this. You will dip in the wrong color. Okay, so there's our north, south, east, west. Okay, and remember we talked a little bit when we started the importance of doing this as a grid, because if you were to start here and try to work your way around, it's very easy to get off your shape. Like it doesn't match up as you come around the bend. So it looks really well if you do this grid first and then fill in your petals. Okay, so remember we're going to start here. We're going to go in between the north and the west. You're just going to touch down, push, slide, lift up. And we're going to go do that on each of these 4 sections. Okay, and each time we're starting outside and working in towards the center. And like we said, you could leave it here. I mean, this is a nice looking flower, but I like mine really full. And if you do too, then you're going to come in between each of those petals. You're going to do the same thing. Okay, we're just going to work our way around and fill in between each of those petals. Okay, I want to show you one thing. I'm going to wipe off a little bit off my brush. I got a little muddy here, so I'm going to wipe that off just a little bit on my paper towel. And then I'm going to come pick up fresh paint. Okay, so same thing we did before. Orange in the orange, yellow in the yellow. Blend, blend, blend. Okay, so both of these petals, we have the orange on the outside, the yellow on the inside. Watch what happens when we flip our brush. This time, I'm going to put the yellow on the outside. We're going to build this flower the exact same way. Just this time, my yellow is going to be on the outside. I just want you to see the color difference just by flipping your brush. All right, so let's touch here. Remember, we're going to start with our north. Push down, slide, lift up. And then you do your center. Look at the color difference, how it's just brighter because that yellow is on the outside. Isn't that fun? Just by flipping your brush. And I'll show you again our inspiration over here. But again, we're going to build this the same way. Okay, do your north, south, east, west, and then fill in each of those sections. And then we'll come back and go in between each of those petals and fill in. Okay, so all depends on how you hold your brush, which color's dominant. Okay, that outside color on this one was that orange, so that's what you saw more of. This one was the yellow, and that's what you saw more of. So it's just kind of neat. And on our sample here, that's what this one is. So we started with the orange on the outside here, and then added a yellow on the outside, and then an orange on the outside, and then some little half flowers, which I'm going to show you here in a sec. Okay, so just by flipping the brush gives you a different look. Okay, on here we did have some buds, some flowers that had not opened yet, so let me show you those. It's just kind of a condensed version of our full flower. Okay, so we're going to start. I have my orange on top. You're going to do the petal like we did when we started. And then you'll come and you'll do a petal on each side. And if you want a bigger bud, you'll do another petal on each side. Let's look at that one again. Okay, you're just going to do one center petal like you're starting the top of your flower. And then you'll do one on each side. And then another one on each side. So it's the exact same petal stroke. We're just making almost like a flower that hasn't opened all the way. Okay. Now, the last thing we need to make our flowers fun is they do need a center. So the easiest thing to do are polka dots. And if you've painted with me before, you know, first of all, I love polka dots. Second of all, the easiest method to make polka dots is by using your paintbrush, but we're going to turn it upside down and we're going to use this handle. So what you're going to do is you're going to dip in whatever color you want for your center with the handle, and then you tap, you dip and you tap, and it gives you a perfect polka dot every time. Okay, if you have a bigger brush, you'll get a bigger polka dot. If you have a little skinny liner brush, you'll get a smaller polka dot. But that is just the easiest way. So let's add some polka dots to our flowers here. I'm going to dip, and you can tap. Okay, if you want a bigger center, you dip and then just give it a little swirl, and that'll give you a bigger center. Okay, let's do that again. We're going to just, with the handle, right in the paint, I'm going to come to the flower. You can tap it for a smaller polka dot, or you can give it just a little swirl to make it a little bit bigger. All right, and one more over here. We're just going to dip in that orange. Again, you can tap for a small polka dot, or you can give it a swirl and make it as big as you need to. Okay, super fun. All right, you guys. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you too, the size of your petal. If you're getting very skinny lines as you're practicing. What we need to do is just push down a little bit harder. So let me show you, just as one little troubleshooting as you're first starting with these. So if you're here and you're doing your flowers and you're getting petals that look real skinny, okay, maybe you like that look for your flowers, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for more of a rounded petal, what you need to do is really squish that brush down as you're sliding, okay? If you're here, you're just going to get more of a line. But if you squish it down and slide, that'll make it a little fuller, okay? All right, so let me show you a couple projects. Again, we'll look one more time at our inspiration. So this was the Pueblo in yellow that we did. In this case, the centers are done with hunter green. So that was just a little bit different, so they stand out a little bit more versus the orange we did here. And then these are just my basic leaf. If you haven't tried leaves, or if you're kind of hesitant to try them, I do on my channel have a basic leaf video. Check that out. It kind of walks you through building these. And once you get the hang of the basic leaf, you'll use them with everything, but they are a little intimidating when you first start. So I do have a video on my channel. If leaves are giving you trouble, check those out. So that was our inspiration, just some cardstock. How cute would this be just as a greeting card for somebody, or in a little photo frame? You could write a little saying. I just love it. Okay, so let me show you this too. This is just a little glass jar, and it's the same daisy that we just did in black and white. How stunning is that? I love black and white and silver together. Okay, so there's one. And here's where, remember we talked about the dominant color is going to be the one that's on the outside, on the top as you're painting. So this one had black on the top, and then we reversed it just like we did here with our yellow and did the white on the outside and pulled in. Okay, so again, just a little glass jar. You put a little candle in there or fill it with some candy for somebody. Super cute. And then this is just an example of a wine glass. It's a little tall, so I can't hold it up. You can kind of, I'll spin it on its side. Okay, and this is just kind of a country blue that we have. In this case, you can see the blue was on the outside as we worked in. That's the dominant color that you're seeing. And then the white daisies where we flipped it and the white was on the outside. Okay, so same color, same brush, same everything, but look at the difference just by how you hold your brush and how you flip it. Okay, it's pretty cool. All right, and so see a couple ideas there for you for painting for yourself or gift giving or sell at craft shows. I mean, the possibilities, you guys, are endless. And with this multi-surface paint, it'll cover you no matter what you're painting on. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope this was fun. I love painting daisies. I think they are just one of those things that they turn out cute and pretty no matter what color you do, and they work on every size project, so they're very fun. So I'm glad you guys could paint those with me today. And if you liked the video, if you would consider hitting that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. There is also a subscribe button on my channel. If you would consider hitting that, that would mean a lot. That way you'll be notified next time a video uploads, so you'll be the first to know when the when the new videos go live. And as always, if there's any comments or suggestions, please, please, please put those in the comments. I love hearing messages from all of you. I really do. And if you have ideas of things you want to see in the future, my goodness, please leave those in the comments. I love hearing ideas for new things. So thank you guys so much, and I hope to paint with you again soon. Bye-bye.